Thank you, Mother, Father, God. Thank you, archangels and ascended masters, for the perfect grace, perfect clarity, and perfect peace that is here for each of us right now. Thank you to the angelic realm, the elemental realm, our ancestors, spirit guides, animal guides, and guardian angels. We thank you for this opportunity for wonderful peace and perfect stability. We welcome and choose to remind ourselves of the stability that already exists. We choose to fully engage and activate the stability in our hearts, the stability in our consciousness, the stability, not rigidity, in our physical bodies, the stability in our energetic landscape. So we celebrate all this goodness and all this grace right now. We also choose to enlist the help of all the angels that we know by name, all the guides that we adore, the loved ones we have affinity for and great bonds with, and all the goddesses that we celebrate. We celebrate all this guidance and all this grace right now. We welcome this opportunity to relax, to have stability, to be stable, and to recognize the highest good is present. So if we could just breathe in, and if we could notice Saint Germain, well-dressed guide, elegant guide, who works with clearing spaces and inspiring purpose. We could just notice him perhaps a bit of a distance in the left, in front on the left a bit. If we could just notice him showering you with love, which might be like a violet flame or a violet or purple light. If we could just notice him doing that and him encompassing everything with that intention, everything. Your body, your being, your soul, your thoughts, your heart, your energy, the space that you're in, spaces that you care about, everyone you care about, everyone you're in connection with, relatives, partners, parents, grandparents, in-laws, children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, projects, businesses, nations at war, anything that's in your sphere, in your awareness. It's very simply notice Saint Germain showering everything mentioned, everything you're aware of, with perfect grace, perfect harmony. And if we could notice, if we place our full attention on Saint Germain, who you might see, hear, feel, or know, just notice that he is very alert, very aware, and also completely relaxed. So if we could just notice that about him. And because the guides joke, and that his hair is perfect. If we could just breathe into all that, and we'll just lovingly notice him connecting with you, each of us at once, and just feeling the grace that is here, feeling seen and heard, feeling cared for. So we'll just breathe into that. And we'll just lovingly in this moment with Saint Germain, if we could notice him placing his attention on the surface that you're sitting on, standing on, lying on, if we could just notice the floor, that surface being very stable, and everything connected with that floor, be that a carpet, be that the earth beneath it, be that concrete or wood, all these different things, marble. Just very simply just notice that that foundation is stable, and that right now that you are stable and on a foundation of stability. If we could just breathe in and notice Saint Germain working with the earth itself, down to the core of the earth itself, right beneath you. So if we could feel the different areas that we all occupy, but mainly focusing on where you are right now, this deep, deep connection with the core of the earth, with this planet. And if we could perhaps, giving words to it, notice um, the warmth of the earth, and that the core of the earth is very welcoming, that the earth, the different formations of rocks and such, let's say 50 feet beneath you, 100 feet beneath you, it's all very welcoming and friendly. And also that foundation, the earth itself, is very inclusive, that the earth itself recognizes you, that you're not a stranger to the earth, and vice versa. So if we could just breathe in and just notice perhaps a different perspective of the stability of the planet right where you are and the relationship with the planet right where you are. Wonderful. And if we could notice Saint Germain placing his attention, his loving attention on the atmosphere, the oxygen, the space right where you are. So if we could just notice him infusing the oxygen with love. So you just breathe in love. Him infusing the space between you and walls and windows, the space between you and the device that you're using, the space between your fingers. It's very simply notice him infusing that entire space that you occupy right now with incredible grace, with great grace. Let's very simply notice Saint Germain addressing your day, everything that's happened thus far, everything happening right now, that you're here, you're engaged. It's very simply just notice Saint Germain acknowledging all this and adding to the day. Let's very simply notice Saint Germain creating a wonderful experience of relaxation, especially in shoulders and anything that centers on any kind of concern or worry for personal things, worry for global things, and maybe no separation between the two. We'll just notice anything that's on your mind, anything that might create a constriction of hope or breath. We'll just very simply let Saint Germain acknowledge those things. And we'll also witness him right now praying for, along with every other guide that we know by name. We'll just notice him praying for stability in Ukraine right now. Stability in provisions being provided, fuel, electricity, cell service, civility, peace, harmony, gratitude, a circulation of good things, food, circulation of an economy, circulation of peace and words of peace, a circulation of hope. We'll just notice all those things happening there. And Saint Germain and his friends, Jesus, Ashtar, Lady Portia, Lady Nada, Freya, Coventina, all of them taking action right now. Powerful nurturing goddesses, Kuan Yin, Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, Kali, taking action right now. Maeve. We'll just notice the angels at work for all of us right now, creating pathways of grace in our own lives and in the lives of all beings, all humans, all animals, the earth itself. We'll just notice there being wonderful communication, wonderful avenues of hope. Coming back to stability from perhaps a different point of view, if we could just notice the inroads, anything that feels blocked, anything where there's a no entry sign, which might be offices of sociopaths and dictators, let's very simply interrupt that. Any place that we feel blocked, any place that we feel constricted, let's interrupt that. Let's just take a breath. And if we could notice Saint Germain continuing to shower the entire earth with peace and harmony and love, we could notice also Archangel Michael having the key to everything, including hearts, and keys to offices, keys to ideas, keys to our consciousness. If we could very simply just notice everywhere in our lives and world events, anything that feels constricted or blocked, having a new experience of openness, of peace, of delivery, the delivery of good news, the delivery of messages, the delivery of hope, the delivery of change. So we'll just breathe in, we'll allow this new experience to come forward. And we'll just very simply notice, perhaps really peacefully, just noticing anything that feels like a block or constriction, having a reorientation, and there being flow, including the flow of generosity, the flow of love, the flow of harmony, the flow of peaceful words and prayers, the flow of good news, the flow of peace. And if we could witness and experience something the angels have said for years now, which is this is the moment in human history where we work beyond words and become masters of love. Let's notice that we don't need to convince anyone of anything. We don't need to find the right words or speak the right words or feel anything of that ilk that might involve pressure. We could very simply just breathe in and just notice for ourselves in this moment, residing in a space of peace, residing in love, residing in an awareness of thousands of angels, thousands of guides, thousands of goddesses, all of our loved ones contributing to peace in this moment. Our advocacy matching their advocacy for peace on earth, including peace in our own hearts, peace in all of our relationships, peace in the spaces that we hold dear and call home. So we'll just breathe in, we'll notice this experience of radiance and balance. We'll notice this space of flow. Let's very simply notice what happens. And we'll just notice this perhaps with curiosity. Just noticing what happens in the absence of blocks, in the absence of constriction or contortion. What happens where there is flow in everything. The flow of ideas, the flow of diplomacy, the flow of peace, the flow of harmony. Wonderful. And if we could just breathe in, we'll notice our friend Saint Germain positioning himself with perhaps a mighty leap to right next to you. Let's very simply notice what it's like for any ice, be that metaphorical or physical ice, to very simply shatter and reorient as water and everything flowing. So notice perhaps what we might perceive as an icy heart in a Russian dictator, perhaps that becoming blood that flows and compassion flowing. We want to attach to that, we'll hold that vision. We'll notice in our own lives where there's more flow in relationships, in words, in behavior, in energy, a release of projections, a positive experience of intentions, and an allowing of the highest good to happen. So we'll just breathe in to all this flow and everything that's been presented so far. And we'll just let everything that we've mentioned, Saint Germain, the angels, you, the flow, we'll let all that continue. We could just take in a breath. And we'll just notice like changing scenes in a movie or a play. We'll very simply notice what it's like to notice a giraffe on a plane without anything around for it, perhaps except for you. It's very simply just notice that giraffe in its element. If we could just breathe and just notice that giraffe and just very simply, heart to heart, just notice what the connection is between you and the giraffe. And what in this moment, perhaps with some immediacy, what the giraffe offers you. Wonderful. So if we could just breathe in. And let's very simply, let's let this be seamless. You become the giraffe. Just very simply just breathe in and notice that shift in perspective, having four legs, having that neck and that view on a plane in your element. Let's very simply notice what that's like, whether you feel it, see it, hear it, or know it. And let's just notice that. What's it like to be a giraffe? What does it feel like to be a giraffe? And as the giraffe, let's very simply notice what it's like to be in motion and to encounter friends. And in the clarity of this moment, let's notice that clarity being seen, heard, felt, and known. That clarity being present with your human self as we remain being the giraffe or a giraffe. It's very simple. Just notice what happens next. And let's very simply notice the greatest good possible emerging, perhaps a bit like the sun rising. Let's notice the greatest good possible emerging and revealing itself and being present. The greatest good for you in every single aspect of your life, the greatest good for everyone you know, including your loved ones, the greatest good for all beings, for giraffes, for people, for whales, for nations, including nations at war. So notice the greatest good happening right now. The greatest good for glaciers and polar bears, the greatest good for anyone in commerce, the greatest good for anyone who has a weapon, the greatest good for peacemakers, the greatest good for artists, the greatest good for mothers and fathers, the greatest good for all children, this greatest good for all beings, all of life, the greatest good for planet Earth, the greatest good for our solar system, the greatest good, the greatest good for the multiverse. So we'll just breathe in and let that greatest good happen, that greatest good existing, that greatest good including you. So we'll just breathe into all that. And let's very simply notice the marriage of the greatest good and stability. That the greatest good is not unstable, the greatest good is unifying, stabilizing, exciting, peaceful, and graceful. In the same way as human beings, we all recognize when something real is happening. So just notice the greatest good being real and wished for, expected and acknowledged and welcomed and embraced. Let's very simply say one thing out loud. I embrace the greatest good. I embrace the greatest good in my own life. I embrace the greatest good for all of life. Thank you. Wonderful. So we'll just breathe in. And we'll notice what it's like to have the awareness of being the giraffe, the awareness of being you, the awareness of all this good, the awareness of Saint Germain, his friends, the awareness of all the angels and goddesses at work, the awareness of change, the awareness of stability and positivity. We'll just notice all that. And let's very simply breathe into this moment and notice the stability present and available for you right now. Wonderful. And let's very simply notice, once again, with this hybrid or melding of you being both a giraffe and yourself at the same time, recognizing our diversity, our dexterity in form, that in truth that we are everything, and that as being everything, we are immensely powerful, we are immensely compassionate, and that we choose peace. So we'll just very simply breathe into all this. And we'll very simply and lovingly say out loud, I choose love. I choose peace. I'm aligned with grace. I'm grateful for the greatest good existing. I embrace the greatest good. Thank you. And with great clarity, great peace, we'll just notice stability being right where you are, stability in every facet of your life, in all your relationships, in your finances, in your wishes and hopes and dreams, in your hopes for a peaceful planet. We'll notice stability in Ukraine right now, stability in our hearts right now, stability in our alignment and choice to live peaceful lives on a peaceful planet, stability in our advocacy for living in a world where everyone expresses themselves positively, a world where no one gets lost, in a world where we all thrive together. We embrace the stability of abundance, embrace the stability of intention and intuition, and we celebrate the stability of us with voices and action, aligning ourselves with the angels and choosing love. And we embrace all of this with wonderful clarity, perfect peace, and outstanding love. We thank the presence of Mother, Father, God, and all the archangels and ascended masters. We thank as well the angelic realm, the elemental realm, our ancestors, spirit guides, animal guides, and guardian angels. We thank you for this opportunity right now for peace. We thank you for this opportunity right now for outstanding love. We thank you for this opportunity right now for joy. We're so grateful for the immediacy of our dreams coming to fruition and our prayers being answered. And we celebrate all this. With wonderful clarity, perfect peace, we ask for this or something better right now in all directions of time. And so it is.